Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a look under the hood of something absolutely massive, cloud computing. Now, I know you hear the buzzwords all the time, but today we're really going to break down the physical and economic realities that actually force the cloud into existence.
So let's start with a quick thought experiment. You've been using Gmail, right? For years, probably. You've got gigabytes of emails, attachments, photos, just sitting there. But where does it actually live? Is it just, floating around in the sky? Sitting in some magical box in California? It's so seamless, we never really think about it. Well, tracking down exactly where your data lives is going to take us on a wild 60-year journey of tech evolution.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the evolution of computing, look at owning versus renting hardware, define exactly what is the cloud, break down the cloud computing benefits, and wrap up by going inside the data center.
All right, part one. The evolution of computing.
To get the cloud of today, we really have to look at the absolute behemoths of yesterday. Back in the 60s, IBM practically owned the market with these giant mainframes. We're talking massive, room-sized machines that only huge places like NASA could even afford to use. Then, in the 80s, DEC comes along and shrinks things down to mini-computers. Fast forward to the 90s, and boom, everything changes. Intel gets chips tiny enough to put personal computers into our homes, Microsoft makes client-server setups a thing, and Cisco builds the hardware to connect us all to the internet. But the real kicker? 2006. That's the year Amazon drops EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, and suddenly, cloud computing spreads like wildfire.
Moving on to part two, owning versus renting hardware. So why did a bookstore like Amazon need to invent the cloud anyway? Well, it all comes down to a literal logistical nightmare. Back in the day, the gold standard was on-premises computing. If you ran a company, you had to buy the whole shebang yourself. Servers, cables, software licenses. You hired the IT guys to set it up. You managed the air conditioning to keep it cool. Everything. And sure, you had total control and amazing security because it was physically locked in your basement, but it was entirely static. You were completely boxed in by the exact hardware you bought. And buying that hardware? Absolutely brutal. In the early 2000s, companies were dumping a staggering 45% of their capital income on these upfront infrastructure costs. That's nearly half their money out the door before they even really got off the ground. But here's the truly mind-blowing part. The agonizing reality was that organizations only actually used about 6% of what they bought. The rest of it, those multi-million-dollar machines just sat there, totally idle, collecting dust, while waiting for a traffic spike that might literally never happen.
Right, so the industry desperately tried a Band-Aid fix, hosted servers. Instead of buying all this iron, companies just rented servers from vendors. This was great because it slashed those terrifying upfront costs and gave you a little more flexibility. But while it fixed the cost of entry problem, renting introduced a brand new, incredibly annoying flaw.
Think about it like this. Say you're a college student, and you need a super powerful laptop for exactly 1 month to edit a video. But the rental place makes you sign a 6-month lease. You use it for 4 weeks, and for the remaining 5 months, it just sits on your desk doing absolutely nothing, while you keep paying for it. That's exactly what was happening to businesses. Paying for idle server time was just bleeding them dry.
Which brings us to section 3. What is the cloud?
The industry desperately needed an elegant fix to this idle problem, and the cloud was the ultimate solution. Instead of static renting, it's a dynamic, shared setup. It's kind of like your household electricity grid. You don't build your own personal power plant, right? And you don't pay a flat fee for the power plant regardless of whether you're home or not. You just flip a light switch, a meter spins, and you pay for the exact amount of juice you use. Nothing more. Cloud computing takes that exact same pay-as-you-go utility model and applies it to internet infrastructure.
And that leads to my absolute favorite way to describe this whole concept. Old wine in a new bottle. People tend to think the cloud is some kind of futuristic alien tech. It's totally not. The hardware, the servers, the fiber optics, we already had all that. The wine is the exact same. What changed is the bottle, how it's packaged, distributed, and billed. Tech giants just took their massive existing infrastructure and wrapped it up in this brilliantly efficient new delivery system.
Okay, section 4, cloud computing benefits.
Let's rapidly run through why this repackaging was such a game changer. First up, scalability. If you need 1 megabyte today but suddenly need a terabyte tomorrow, the cloud adapts instantly. No new hard drives required. Second, that pay-as-you-go pricing means zero wasted cash on idle machines. Third, startup times are lightning fast. You just log in and you're up and running. Fourth, way fewer headaches for your IT team since you aren't maintaining the physical hardware. And lastly, It gives businesses the illusion of infinite computing resources. Because you're plugged into this massive global grid, it literally feels like you have endless power right at your fingertips.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, Inside the Data Center. So back to our very first question. Where does your Gmail actually live? As we've established, it isn't vapor in the sky. The cloud is driven by massive, hyper-secure data centers run by companies like Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. Picture these enormous, warehouse-sized buildings absolutely packed with thousands of servers. And they're all networked together with blazing fast bandwidth to perform something called parallel computing.
Let's peek under the hood and see how this creates that instant magic. Step 1, you hit search on your inbox. Step 2, the cloud totally abstracts the physical location. Is the server answering you in Ohio, Ireland, down the street? Actually, scratch that. It doesn't even matter, and you honestly don't need to know. Step 3 is the real magic. Thousands of servers instantly divide up your search query and work on tiny little chunks of it all at the exact same time. That's the parallel part. And step 4, you get a lightning-fast response on your screen. Bam! That is the incredible power of the modern cloud.
We've seriously come such a long way. From room-sized mainframes in the 60s, to wasted, idle servers bleeding companies dry in the 2000s, to today's invisible, shared infrastructure. The cloud took the old wine of physical servers and poured it into this brilliant new bottle of on-demand utility. But it really makes you wonder. As AI and global data needs just continue to explode, even this massive infrastructure is going to hit a wall eventually. So what exactly is going to be the next new bottle for the computing power of tomorrow? It's a pretty thrilling question to ponder. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep on learning.